All right, if you're in the Pi Network community, there is absolutely no way you've missed this. The rumor that's been setting everything on fire. The Pi Bank. It sounds massive, right? A total game changer. But the big question is any of it real? Let's dig in and separate the facts from the fiction.
And right at the heart of this whole thing is this jaw-dropping promise, a possible listing on Binance. You know, just one of the biggest crypto exchanges on the planet. And not just as any old coin, but as a stable coin. I mean, for the millions of you pioneers who've been patiently mining on your phones, this sounds like the moment you've been waiting for.
So, what's the real story here? Is this the huge breakthrough that finally takes Pi to the next level? Or is it just, well, more hype? Let's get our detective hats on, investigate this together, and really get to the bottom of the Pi Bank mystery.
Okay, so whenever you hear some massive news in crypto, what's the very first thing you should do? It's simple. You ignore the rumors, you ignore the so-called leaks, and you go straight to the horse's mouth. Let's see what the Pi core team itself has to say about all this.
Think about it. When a project this big has news this important, they shout it from the rooftops, right? So we checked everywhere. The official website mypi.com, the official blog, their verified X account. And what did we find? Crickets. A deafening silence. There's no press release, no blog post, not even a sneaky little tweet. For something as huge as a bank, that silence speaks volumes. And that, my friends, is our first giant red flag.
So if the news didn't come from the core team, where did it come from? Well, it all traces back to a few unofficial websites that are using a classic disinformation playbook. Here's how it works. They take a little bit of truth, maybe a real upcoming update, to make themselves sound legit. Then they wrap it in a whole lot of wild speculation, like a Pi Bank. They use these crazy clickbait headlines to pull you in, and they're just hoping you won't notice the one thing that's missing: any single verifiable source. It's all smoke and mirrors. And honestly, the story just gets weirder and more complicated when you start looking at the details. The rumor actually names a specific partner for this Pi Bank, but as you're about to see, this just raises even more red flags and uncovers some massive real-world roadblocks.
So the partner they name is a project called Bank. And this is where the whole story just completely unravels. This isn't some big respected financial player. Bank is a super controversial project that has its own scam warnings floating around it in the crypto community. It doesn't have any clear regulatory approval, and there are major questions about its transparency. This is pretty much the last type of partner you'd expect for a legitimate venture of this scale.
This is where the logic just completely falls apart. Look at it this way. On one side, you have Pi Network, which has really strict rules for its partners. They require things like KYB, Know Your Business verification, and proper regulatory licenses. And then on the other side, you have Bank, which fails on every single one of those points. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't add up. The partnership makes absolutely no sense.
But you know what? Let's just pretend for a second that the partner wasn't a huge red flag. The idea of a Pi Bank itself crashes into a giant wall of reality. I mean, first, the regulations. You would need banking licenses in pretty much every country, each with a mountain of complex laws. Then there's the tech. The Pi Network is still very centralized, which regulators would have a field day with. And finally, the money. You need deep connections to traditional banks and major exchanges. Pi just isn't there yet. These aren't little bumps in the road. They're massive mountains.
And here's the real kicker, the bottom line. To launch a real, licensed bank and back a stablecoin, you need capital, a lot of it. We're not talking a few $million here. We are talking billions of dollars in reserves. It's an insane financial barrier that, let's be honest, makes this whole rumor totally impossible right now.
Okay, so the Pi Bank is pretty clearly a myth. But, and this is a really important but, that does not mean the project is dead in the water. Far from it. There is real, verifiable progress happening. So let's pivot and look at what's actually been going on with the project.
And you know what? There has been some solid, tangible progress. You can see it right here. Things are moving forward. Launching a DEX on the testnet, that's a huge step toward real utility. Speeding up KYC means more people can participate in the ecosystem. And giving developers new AI tools, that could lead to some seriously cool apps. Now, this stuff might not be as flashy as a Pi Bank rumor, but this is the real, grinding work of building a network. But we have to keep a balanced view here. While those updates are definitely good news, the project still faces some pretty significant challenges and some very legitimate criticism. The big one, of course, is still centralization. The core team still controls most of the infrastructure and the tokens, and that's a major hurdle the project still needs to clear. You know, this whole Pi Bank saga is actually the perfect lesson. So let's turn it into something useful, a toolkit that you can use to spot the next piece of fake news and protect yourself. Let's build up your crypto BS detector.
These right here, these are the universal red flags. Burn them into your brain. A promise that sounds way too good to be true, that's a red flag. Someone creating fake urgency, telling you it's a limited time offer. Red flag. No confirmation from official channels, huge red flag. And this last one is the most important of all. If anyone ever asks you for your seed phrase or your private keys, it is a scam 100% of the time. No exceptions.
So here it is, your 5-step plan to stay safe online. It's super simple. Number 1, always go to the official source first. 2, read the official blog. 3, check their verified social media accounts. Look for that check mark. 4, if they mention a partner, go verify that partner is legit. And 5, maybe the most important step of all, just stay skeptical. Treat every single leak as a rumor until you see cold, hard, official proof.
And look, this isn't just about being paranoid or winning an argument online. Following these steps is about protecting yourself and your assets from very, very real threats. The consequences of falling for this kind of misinformation can be absolutely devastating.
This stuff isn't theoretical. These are real, documented scams that have already hit the Pi community hard. The Pi Today phishing scam stole thousands of people's accounts. Fake airdrops are constantly tricking people into giving up their info. This is the real-world cost of misinformation, and it's exactly why knowing how to spot fiction is so critical for your own financial safety.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this, doesn't it? The future of any project isn't just built on code and technology. It's built on the trust and the collective intelligence of its community. So the question is, will that future be built on verified facts or on viral fiction? The choice of what you believe, and more importantly, what you share, is ultimately up to you. Thanks for digging into this with me.